So I'm in my room, I'm searching it, and I see it's literally in 10 seconds. It starts populating everywhere. And I'm just sitting in my room, and why does this impact me so much? I never met that man. Nah, he's nobody to me, but I felt like it was almost what he represented was almost a mythical figure at this point. The Mamba, somebody untouchable. The main character you think is always going to make it through, figure it out. So when he passed, I was just, it, to some days, it still doesn't feel real that actually happened, the way he went. What's up, my people? We're in today. We're checking in today with another episode of Inside the Vibe. I'm your host, Yoru, and today our guest is a producer, content creator, sport enthusiast, and is part of one of the better sports podcasts that you really should be listening to for all your sports needs. I give you Antonio. Antonio, what was it, the second?
Yeah, the second.
Second. Antonio the second. What was your last name?
Burnett.
Antonio Burnett the second. See, I wanted to give the proper Antonio Burnett. Sounds like the royal title of Bench Mob Entertainment. Bench Mob Entertainment, BME. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming through today, man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having us. This is a great setup.
Thank you.
Also the aspect, we talked about it before, like it's been a long time coming.
Long time coming. I feel like at least a year we're trying to get you guys in here.
Facts. So I made sure, I know we wanted the full cast on, but couldn't make it, so at least because it's been so long, I was like, all right, let me at least go out. I am the creator of it, the originator of it. So if I come out, I could at least represent until
1,000%
get the other co-hosts on.
Yeah, for sure. And I've actually followed you guys, been watching a lot of the content. I've actually interacted with some when you guys start to talk about things that I actually know about. So it's always cool to give myself like an outlet to speak sports with fans who are really knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than myself about topics. So it's cool to lean into sports in that way. So before we get going into the actual questions, that I want to, get us started, we like to have our in-house special called Set the Flow. Okay. Ask a couple questions to give our audience a better grasp of who you are and, what good or bad sport takes you have today for us. So first off, we're going to start with Redeem Team or the Dream Team.
Ooh, that's a good one, but I'll probably go with the Dream Team, the original ones. MJ, Larry Bird, Chuck, and all of them. That run that they had was crazy, and the fact to see also on another level of just like MJ was different on the global scale of the amount of aura that he had everywhere. So I'd have to go with them, but I definitely appreciate the Redeem Team because we had some terrible losses before they won. So
100%.
I'm going with them,
Kobe or Tim Duncan?
Had this debate with people on our show. For those that haven't tuned in before, I am a huge Kobe fan growing up. I'm going with Kobe personally, but I do think Tim Duncan is disrespected when we don't mention him enough in that conversation of the greatest of all time.
Okay.
All the winning that he did with San Antonio, I think he has to be brought up more in that conversation. We always talk Kobe, Bron, MJ, but I think Tim should be a part of that conversation.
So I think mentioning his name, like whispering it, is enough. If we're talking about the GOAT, I mean, I can't disrespect it. He's consummate professional, the standard of success. I don't really have any like blemishes on his resume to like disrespect him out of the conversation. I don't know. I just wouldn't put him as the GOAT to me. But I think mentioning him in the conversation is probably the best I can do. But I'm not mad at people saying he should be in there because I think just the resume, the standard of excellence, it's hard to just say no Tim.
I think I agree with that. At least mention him because I think what happens we see with current sports discourse is that people kind of forget Timmy because Timmy was real monotone. I'm just here to do my job. He didn't do any rah-rah.
No aura, no real personality.
None.
You have the Mamba, you have the King, you have the Killer and MJ. He has no persona of that. It's just, hey, 9 to 5, championships, triangle offense. We're the Spurs. Yada yada yada. Like they don't have. He didn't have that flair, and I think it hurt him.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I always try to bring him up just to show love to Timmy because
Fair
I think
enough. Fair enough.
kind of forget him.
So role player on a championship team or an all-time great on a team that just couldn't get over the hump.
Give me the all-time great player that couldn't get over the hump. Um, I'm thinking big picture, all-time great player that couldn't get over the hump. That's to me, that sounded like that's more money overall.
Yeah.
That sounds also for those that really follow the sport. If they know, I'm gonna still get the respect. I get the respect from my colleagues. And every situation is different where you get drafted.
Yeah.
Melo. If Melo got drafted by the Pistons, I think he ends up with a ring.
Yeah.
He gets one, and then we talk about Melo completely differently.
Way different.
So give me the career that I'll be remembered longer versus Robert Horry, great career, but we don't talk about Robert.
We don't talk about him like AI or even Charles.
Exactly.
I also think that argument is only really prevalent to me in basketball because in football, if you were like a role or situational player on a championship team, unless you have the persona where you can speak on TV, that's the only way you really get remembered. Like on football, like for example, like Fred Jackson. Nobody would trade Fred Jackson's career for the situational pass rusher on the Chiefs because we don't know who that is.
Facts.
So I think it only makes sense for basketball because basketball I feel like it's been so contaminated with ring culture. Now it's like if you don't have a chip, who are you? Where I feel like that conversation was supposed to be relegated for the elite of the elite to compare LeBron to a Jordan or a Kobe to a Tim. Like that's what that conversation was supposed to be for. And now it's been made to be whatever we want to make it by like fans who are a little bit, they're not as well, I would say they're not as affluent in the game in relation to like they're not watching it and really knowing ball. They're just saying he has a chip, he's better than this guy who was all NBA for 10 years. It's like, that kind of doesn't make the most sense, but hey. All right, next up I have is the greatest what if impact. So the options are if CP3 went to Kobe's LA, if Kawhi went to LeBron and AD's LA, or if Bron and Kyrie never left Cleveland. So I think which one of those would have had the biggest impact on the league?
I think if Bron and Kyrie never split up.
Okay.
And what do you think? Bron and Kyrie never split up. They, specifically being in the East, they are in a position to go back again and again and again. You get Bron as he matures throughout his game. You get Kyrie as he matures throughout his game. And you could switch the ancillary pieces around them. They will continue to run the East and run havoc. And just like in life, if you get 15, 20 opportunities to do something, typically you have a higher percentage to win and achieve success. So I think they would get probably another like 4 or 5 opportunities.
Maybe cash in at least one.
At least one.
And I think they win that next year.
And it changes also, again, to what you were saying earlier, the conversation of legacy dealing with LeBron. You have another ring there. You win it in the East. You win it in Cleveland. Another level on the CP3 Kobe situation, going to LA as a Lakers fan. When it first happened, I was hurt.
Distraught.
I was hurt.
I was tight. I thought it was cheating, to be honest.
Facts. But what we had to give up to get CP3, everybody's like, oh, yeah, it's automatic championship. I think they probably get one at some point, but the first 2 years,
terrible.
It would have been
set us back.
4th seed, 5th seed. It wouldn't have produced a finals that first couple years because we'd had to figure it out. I think it was possibly like Lamar Odom would be in that trade. Lamar Odom was vital to the Lakers during that time.
And that was pre-Coke. Lamar said that was back when he was playing ball on the right courts.
Yeah.
So for sure,
I'm going with Kyrie and Bron staying together. I think that's one of the craziest 1-2 tandems that we have.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a finals performance like that. When that series, they were like, I don't know if they had that 40 and they had like, I want to say they were like 50 or 60 from 3. That one game, it's like a meme now. So it's like, it's just different what they were able to accomplish. What is your most devastating sports memory?
Probably would have to be the passing of Kobe. Being a Kobe fan growing up, Lakers fan, When I played, I tried to model my game after Kobe, at least for a little bit, till I realized I'm not 6'6", so I got to figure out somebody else to try to model my game after. But it was, people knew how much I loved his game and him as the player, and you know what he transitioned into after sports. That's what was devastating as well too, because he was starting to really master and give us a different look that we saw from Kobe.
Changing his complete persona from the killer to almost like the mayor. It was actually kind of crazy to see.
Exactly. And the reaching out and helping this player, and then the books he was writing, and I think it would have been huge, and I think we would see even more of a progression on the WNBA side, being that he was so involved.
Yes.
And his daughter, that was the other devastating part too. Gigi, I think, is very young, but from having Kobe as your trainer, coach, and the mentality, would have been a killer. So I think it was so many tentacles that came from that really affected sports in general. Some people, to the point they were actually calling me like, "Yo, Tone, you good?" And I'm like, "All right." He was my favorite player, but like, I didn't know the man. It doesn't affect my life directly. And my pops told me something very young, which always stuck with me. He was like, "All right, you happy this team won and you want to wear this jersey." But he was like, "Don't get it confused, because when they win, they not calling you out saying, 'Oh, Antonio Burnett, the greatest fan of the,'" they not calling you out. So it's a balance that I've always had from a younger age of like, you could be a fan, but you can't take it too serious and take it personally as if, oh, this is my team. They don't pay you nothing. They don't owe you nothing. They not thinking about you. So just having that balance of like, all right, it's a sport at the end of the day. So it didn't stop my day or my life, but people knew how much I appreciated Kobe, his game, and everything he brought.
I remember me and my friends were coming back from like, I don't know if it was Wildwood or somewhere, and I just remember one of our friends was driving. She had dropped me off, and we were like on a three-way, and she called us, and like I just remember her screaming, "Kobe Bryant died. Kobe Bryant died." I'm like, whatever. So I'm in my room, I'm searching it, and I see it's literally in 10 seconds, it starts populating everywhere. And I'm just sitting in my room, and I'm like, why does this impact me so much? I never met that man. He's nobody to me, but I feel like it was almost like what he represented was almost like a mythical figure at this point, the Mamba, like somebody untouchable. Like the main character you think is always going to make it through, figure it out. So when he passed, I was just like, to some days it still doesn't feel real that actually happened, the way he went. And yeah, that's definitely up there too. My most devastating memory, I would have to say, Falcons Super Bowl. Yeah, I'm a Falcons fan. I'm not gonna hold you. That was the day I emotionally detached from sports. Like I've never gone back. Like I watch sports, but like I can't get like too high or low. Because I remember I was at school. We had a Madden tournament. I just won the Madden tournament. I was talking cash shit to everybody. And that was like around the time of like the MAGA stuff too. Mm-hmm. So I felt like it was Atlanta versus the MAGA team. And I was like, yeah, I was talking crazy. And then I remember the first play after the half, we went 3-and-out. And I looked at the person next to me. I said, I know my team. We are going to lose this game. We were up 28-3 at that point. And we lost the game. And every drive, I just kept like, I knew we were going to lose because I knew my team. We only play one half of football. We've always only ever played one half. So once we lost that game, emotionally, I've never been back with any team since. I don't get too high or low because at that point I realized you can't break my heart again. So
that's how I am with the Cowboys.
Yeah, my brother actually literally just denounced them. I want to say a few weeks ago.
I beat him to it. It's been years since I've openly said I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you got to kind of say it in secret. Don't even text it, just like word of mouth.
That way, Jerry Jones as the owner, I'm like, they're not going to win a championship. My pops was a Cowboys fan. My grandfather was a Cowboys fan. It's a generational thing. Born literally, my first pair of Pampers were Cowboys Pampers, and I had a Lakers onesie. Wow. So I was born into this. But then as I got older, I realized I don't like this type of abuse. To watch.
You don't even want to keep on that legacy of losing with your family name.
Exactly.
It's not a good place to align yourself with. I mean, some traditions got to die, unfortunately. So.
And growing up during the Giants winning Super Bowls and everybody coming to school. Oh, your Cowboys? Like, yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I don't have nothing that I could to stand on with the Cowboys, but from the '90s, and
Exactly. Right.
I didn't see that.
Wasn't there. So speaking of Cowboys, last one I have was the Dez catch a catch?
Nah, Dez. I know you still standing on that. I think he tweeted something like that maybe last year. Nah, it wasn't a catch, Dez.
You really don't think it was a catch?
Nah, I think
that's crazy to me.
I think he fumbled it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me because he caught it and took 2 steps, and he fumbled it on the way. He didn't retain possession on the way into the end zone. Yeah. So they said a ground can't cause a fumble. So if anything, it should have been down at the 1. So what about he caught it, took 2 steps? What about that makes you feel like it wasn't a catch?
I feel before the 2 steps, it was a little bit juggling before the 2 steps.
Okay.
Even if they did, this is just trauma speaking, though. Even if they made it a catch, I feel they still would have lost the game regardless. So.
Damn, you hurt. I see the pain.
Yeah, so,
I mean, we have 2 emotionally taxing teams, so I'm not mad about that.
Facts.
It's cool. All right, so that wraps up our Set the Flow Inside the Vibe, our homegrown game. Let's get into these questions. So first I have for you, did you play sports growing up?
Yes, I did. I played basketball.
Okay.
I played soccer for a little bit, but they kept putting me in goalie, so I was like,
Yeah, goalie's not the sexy position. Because you want to be running around and kicking kids.
But I get it. At the time, it was a younger age, and I was going to a school where it's mainly Hispanic, so they was like, nah, goalie. Which I respect, I understood, but I was like, I don't want to do goalie. Yeah. Track, I ran track up until high school. I got tired of the coaches were putting me in the long distance.
Nobody likes those.
And I was actually faster than the people that was running the 100s and the 200s. So I gave up on track, but basketball all the way through from elementary, middle school, high school. Played a little bit more so in the intramural leagues and college. Tried out for multiple teams, just didn't work out for one reason or another. And then I played semi-pro, and that was pretty much. Could have kept going, but realistically speaking, at the time, was in a position where I could chase a basketball dream and it wasn't any finances coming from it.
Got you. Understand. At some point, you have to grow up in a way where you kind of let those things go.
Yeah, for sure. That's literally what it was. It was like real life situation. I was like, nah, I can't. I'm not in a position to be like, all right, I'm not making any money from this.
Yeah,
it's taking up still a lot of my time from actually working. My pops had to, hey,
man,
you can't keep doing this.
It's unfortunate when the dreams, I won't say die, but they change because adulting comes into it.
Facts.
So at what part of this journey did you realize you love sports?
Probably from birth, 2-3 years old. Like I said, the first pair, my outfit was sports related.
Yeah, the Cowboys joint.
And I remember from early ages of watching sports with pops and watching sports with mom and going to sporting events. When they had the All-Star game in New York, I want to say that was 96, 97. We have pictures of, they took me to not the All-Star game, but they had, the fan events on the outside. So very early age, I was locked in with sports and realized like, yo, I actually get enjoyment from watching sports, basketball, football, baseball a little bit, but as I grew older, I watched more sports. But from a very early age, I was like, yeah, the sports thing is something that I love and then something I want to do.
And was there a particular sport that was there a moment that that triggered in you where you're like, it's not just this one, but all of these, like just the camaraderie, the companionship that I find in playing these with like-minded individuals moving towards a common goal? Or was it just like I'm a kid and I like sports? Like what was that moment for you where you realized now like I'm with all of this?
Basketball. I remember it was middle school. Shout out to Abundant Life Academy in Nutley, Christian school I was at, and the runs we had there of trying to get a championship, even in middle school, playing with some of the high school teams, that right there, and the common goal of trying to fight to get up the mountain to achieve a goal for that, and actually achieving it and having a legacy there where I could go back now to Abundant Life and pretty much I'm known there for what I did regarding basketball. Those moments really was in middle school where I was like, yo, this kind of got one track minded in that regard of like, yo, basketball is what it is. That's what I want to do. I want to do basketball. I want to play basketball. I want to go pro. That was the full focus after that really was like middle school.
I think too, like I think all kids should play sports, not even if you're good or not, but it instills those type of values of like camaraderie, working towards a common goal, challenges, back against the wall. Like, what are you going to do when it gets tough? It builds mental fortitude in a way that you're just not going to get a lot of, especially in the world today, unfortunately, without, stepping on some toes. I think it's a great vehicle to really grow kids in some of the more traditional values that still hold weight in the way we move and kind of operate today.
For sure, because it's huge in dealing with also people from different cultures, different personalities. It's a lot of life lessons that you learn in sports in general, whatever sports you play. It's a lot of life lessons. And for me, my wife laughs all the time. We run into people across the country. We're running into people. And it's like sometimes, anytime we're out in public, it's somebody I end up running into. And she goes, how you know this person? 9 times out of 10, it's because of basketball.
Yeah.
It's 9 times out of 10, it's because of basketball.
It's like it's another form of, like, sports is almost just as much as a universal language as music. Connects us in a way that, when you look outside, like, these people wouldn't know each other, but no, they like basketball, they like soccer, they like football.
Facts.
So it's definitely an equalizer in that regard. So obviously now we're gonna shift a little bit into your insight on sports knowledge and how you guys show up on Bench Bob Entertainment. That you kind of let us know that you're the creator of and uphold with the rest of your co-hosts. What in your experience would you say has been your best take and your worst take sports wise?
I'll start with my worst take. So last year, we had on a guest, and the goal of the episode was to do overreactions, and this was the worst overreaction I could choose. I just want to set that as the preface. That was the actual goal, was overreactions.
Yeah.
Based off of how the first couple of weeks went in the NBA season last year, I was of the thought and the belief, I said that the Nuggets weren't going to make the playoffs because it wasn't enough to help out Jokic. I didn't believe in the Russell Westbrook pairing, which turned out to work out well. Yeah. Jamal Murray was inconsistent, and he would often get injured. So I'm like, all right, this might be the year where they don't make the playoffs, and obviously that did not happen. So still to this day, here and there, we get people commenting on like, hey, so the Nuggets made it. So that was definitely one of those. I would feel my best take as of recent was I called that Caitlin Clark would not dominate in the W once she got there.
Gotcha.
I said that in the W, there are a lot of very good pros that are prepared for her. And also that I feel, and I'm think it's safe to say, seeing this year, what I mentioned with it is that Paige Beckers would actually have a more of a smoother transition and impact to the W.
Yeah, she doing her thing right now. Paige Beckers going crazy.
Paige has better coaching with Gino. She understands how to impact the game in more ways than Caitlin does. With Caitlin Clark, some of the things that I saw going into her first season from college was that bad shot selection oftentimes. Obviously, it's the exciting play to see somebody shooting from half court, but typically it's not a good shot.
Yeah.
Not the best teammate. A lot of bad body language. Pass me the ball. Why are you passing me the ball? And I know that can impact your teammates and anybody that has bad body language like that across the board. If you're working in a team setting, that can actually lower the morale of the team versus
especially on the narrative of her coming into the league. It definitely doesn't play more into it doesn't help her case, I'll say.
Exactly. And then you look on the flip side, Paige, we're seeing it already this her rookie season. Paige, I feel, is more skilled than Caitlin. Paige can actually impact the game more ways. Paige has a better offensive package in regards of Paige can shoot the three, but Paige has a mid range. Paige is able to get to the cup and score and finish at the basket, which is in Caitlin's strong suit. And if you've watched any of the W this season, Paige is a Kyrie disciple, and we can see that in her game with all the counters she has. So I'm more of a Paige fan than Caitlin, and I think also a name that people have to remember is it's a lady over in California named Juju Watkins that's coming.
Yeah, they.
And Juju, I think
She one of them.
she has the potential to be the greatest women's basketball player in the W if everything goes out playing.
Yeah,
she has that potential, I feel.
To shift to maybe not another sport, but more broader now. As an informed, enthusiast of sports and all things athletic in that realm, if you could change the way, like anything about a major sporting event, it could be the World Cup, could be the Stanley Cup, could be the NBA Finals, or even the Super Bowl. What is one thing you would change about one of these events?
NBA Finals, they actually are making this change, but I feel over the last couple of years, the broadcasting team has not been as good.
Okay.
It has not been as entertaining. It has lacked a little bit sometimes the nuances of the game, which I think you kind of already mentioned earlier about how in the sports discourse, specifically basketball, I think it lacks the coverage of understanding. Like, all right, you should be able to point out during the broadcast why this play worked, why this worked for Steph Curry. Why did he get a wide open shot? Why is this player not shooting the shot? I think that's more needed, kind of what Kobe was doing with the show he had called Detail. Mix that in the actual show, within the actual game of the NBA Finals, because that's where I think we also have an issue with the fan discourse of it turns into rings, 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 rings. But, for example, Draymond Green, how he sets screens is actually a skill. It is actually valuable. Yes. He plays a huge part in why Steph Curry actually ends up being open. And as a podcaster, trust me, I get it. You do need the space of the hot takes and the debates because that's going to get people to tune in more.
Yes.
Just mix it in, balance it out. And I change in general for the NBA, though. I would change that Adam Silver came out recently, said basically, y'all broke. Y'all got to get y'all money up in regards of how they changed up the games this year. It's on a bunch of different streaming sites. A lot of fans won't have access to it. I saw a graphic that was saying if you wanted to watch all of the NBA games on the ABCs, the Peacocks, all of those added together would be something on the close to $500-$600 a month.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's insane. And for the commissioner to come out and say basically like, yo, it's a highlight sport. Y'all could go watch the highlights after the game is done. I think that's insensitive. I think that is terrible towards the fans, but it's a reminder that Adam Silver, Roger Goodell, they work, and across all sports pretty much, the commissioners of these sports, they don't work for the players. They don't work for the fans. Their bosses are the owners.
It's the logo, too. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. So don't get caught up in the fact that they're running around and playing a ball, and it's an entertainment business. They're entertaining you, but it's a product that they're also it's a product that they're selling. And even though that is insensitive, it's like that's no different than any other major corporation CEO saying, hey,
Facts.
This product is defective, but we're working on it. And, yeah, we know it caused cancer, but, yeah, deal with it. Like, there's a moments of where they dehumanize themselves, but at that clip of money, when you're talking about that kind of income, it's kind of like par for the course. Doesn't make it right. Just makes it more understandable as to why they are, not the best examples of human beings in those moments. So
most definitely.
And I think the NFL does a great job of that. Like, I feel like in games where they're like, they break down, okay, this person has 139 yards in 2 halves. break down the plays of how that happened. And I think it seems more seamless when they do it now. When they do it in the NBA, they don't do it in the finals a lot. I see other games, like a regular game, they do it, but it's almost like they're just trying to save the most entertaining and kind of clickbaity thing to go all over Twitter in relation to those conversations. So definitely something that could be better with.
That's a great point because the NFL does it throughout the entire time. I think Super Bowl they don't do it as much, but in the regular season you do see. All right, let's do Gen X next stat. So this play worked this way, and he ran this play at this route, and this quarterback actually has 52 missed throws. All of that information, I think they do a better job of mixing in, and just the commentators in general. You get a Troy Aikman game with Chris Buckworth. You get a Tony Romo game. You get one of those games, they're breaking down, and they're telling you sometimes, like really good, when they're really rolling, they're telling you, all right, this is about to be a run play.
Yeah.
This is why it's going to be a run play. It's 3rd and 3. They have they break it down. And I feel those that want to listen on the NFL side, at least, I feel the fans on the NFL side can be more informative in their debates because if they're paying attention, they're breaking down why that play worked, why this works well, why Josh Allen decided not to throw there and he went to the flat. They break it down way better than NBA, and it just be like, oh, big shot.
Yeah,
break down.
And that's why you'd probably hear, like, you wouldn't ever hear somebody come out and say Joe Flacco's a better quarterback than Dan Marino, because the X and the O's don't support that, and the player and the fans who watch the show, they're well aware of that. So I think that's very like that breaking down those next gen stats, the kind of leaning into educating fans throughout the game allows for more intelligent fans in the game. Because I'm not going to say football fans who get drunk and do all types of nutty stuff in the parking lot are more intelligent, but in relation to the game, they are more informed about the conversations they're having.
Most definitely.
So when you're conversing with other fans and other people who, feel like they know the sport and have, valid takes and perspectives, is there anything like that you kind of look for or listen to when you're having these conversations where it's like, okay, like this person may not have done the research or put the effort in to have this conversation. They may not be as qualified to join this conversation in the way I can join it.
Typically, so like I'll talk to anybody that comments on our social media, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, YouTube. I'll have the conversation with you where I realize, like, all right, this is not a worthwhile conversation, even if it's for the algorithm to show that we're talking and that there's a conversation there. Is when it's too emotional based and it's they kind of leave out the facts aspect. Absolutely. When it turns into, oh, I don't like this player because XYZ, or this player isn't good because I saw them, they didn't actually, I had them for my parlay and they didn't hit the parlay. No, that's not.
They lost you money. That don't mean they good or bad.
Exactly. That's not a legit reasoning. And once that is mixed in, then I know, all right, this is not. Yeah. Like, I know sports is a passionate, emotional based fan base, but you have to, when you're debating, you have to have the balance of facts. 100%. And if you are emotional in it, if you are trying to have a hot take, have something to back it up at least.
Yeah, you have to have facts with a hot take. That's what makes it compelling, because, oh, maybe I didn't think about it like that.
So, exactly. Maybe, wait, hold on. You said this player actually has missed the last 15 shots. It makes you think differently. At least have some facts to come up with it, which is people that do that the best. Typically, that's where you see the most engagement. Yep. And it gives people for me at least, I respect it more if you actually back it up with something. Like, you could say the hottest thing in the world, but if it's just really, again, emotional based or just your opinion with nothing to back it up, that's where I think it lacks. And when you see people sometimes may get upset with Stephen A, for example, because sometimes Stephen A will just say stuff, and it'll turn into either LeBron stuff of, now we're hearing, I don't really like him personally. I don't like LeBron personally. That's where it's like, all right. Yeah. Anybody in the comments start making it personal, especially when we don't know these people.
Doesn't make sense. And it just weakens the argument. Do you have a specific like approach to how you look to do research on like a topic or a player or a sport?
On topics, I try to find out, what's trending, what's going on, what's people talking about. I ask our listeners and our viewers if there's anything that they want to discuss, anything that they want to talk about, and mix that in with the show. But also within our conversations, me, Greg, Miles, and our group chat, I pay attention to things they may say, and I pay attention to other group chats and like, oh, okay, I hear they're talking about this over here. I hear they're talking about this over here. All right, let me mix that in. But also just having a balance of mixing in multiple sports to try to give credence and value to, for example, tennis. I just worked the U.S. Open. I don't think people understand how skilled tennis players are, how much goes into tennis, how much goes into golf. These aren't the major sports that get the most publication, the most love, but I'm going to mix it in the show because there's somebody that's listening that likes it, and there's somebody also that may not be aware of it, and we get to educate our listeners and our viewers about this sport, and they might not tune in now. So I always try to mix that in, and then when it comes to the last part of it, I just try to have stuff that's kind of like that evergreen that can just forever. The LeBron MJ debate, that's going to go on until our kids have kids.
Yeah.
Those type of topics definitely mix in. When it comes to players, interviewing players, I like to do a deep dive and try to find anything I can, like their interests outside of it, outside of sports, their history, when they played, things of that nature, to just also humanize and show they are more than just an athlete. So
just who they show up on is the court.
Yeah, so I try. I'm looking at their Twitter. I'm looking at their Instagram. I'm scrolling. So in 2016, you said, boom, boom, boom. Do you still feel that way? Oh, they're into books. All right, let's talk about books. So try to give a full depth of telling their story and making sure within it, like, which I know you do the same thing of, you're making sure that that individual is the story.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That individual is the focus of it. And I think I've seen, and I know you've seen too, on certain podcasts, certain episodes, people make themselves the story a little bit too much in it. I'm having you on to tell your story, to tell different aspects of that. And I always appreciate my approach when it comes to that. I'm sending out hundreds of DMs weekly.
Yeah, got to get the right people.
Hundreds of DMs weekly. And I've had literally just early this year, somebody responded, was like, oh, because of Instagram, it sent it to a different message and I just happened to read it. I DM'd them 4 years previous. Yeah. They just got to it this year. So
yeah, it'd be like that. But I mean, it's that approach to be like meticulous and intentional that at some point the right door, right conversation. So I think that I can definitely align with that approach. That direction and really nonstop ability to go after it and really put passion and energy towards anything you do. Like the preparation is really what makes the conversations more colorful, more impactful, and really more enticing. So I think it's something you always have to do regardless of who you have on. So I definitely think we're aligned in that area. Last thing I have for you is what does BME, what does Benchmark Entertainment represent, and what elements would you say you guys kind of hone in on to separate you from your contemporaries?
So, Benchmark ENT podcast, give a little backstory on that. High school, it was our senior year. Me, Matt Taylor, Ed Crenshaw, shout out to my boys. We were on the bench. We felt we should have been getting more playing time.
So I started talking shit.
We went about it probably not in the best way, but we basically we called ourselves the Bench Mob.
Oh, y'all made a haters club. That's crazy. Y'all haters.
So we was called ourselves the Bench Mob. So it was like, all right, it was really, and I didn't understand this at the time, but fast forward, where podcast started in 2020, but I had a dream about it to do a podcast for sports about like 2017.
Yeah.
Finally, actually, you know what? Let me go do it. Like, let me figure it out. Just stop wasting time talking about what you would want to do and actually go do it. In the process of planning it, I'm like, all right, what should I name it? What should I name it? Bench mob. That's what immediately came to my mind. God dropped it in my head, like bench mob, bench mob. So bench mob, that's the name of the podcast, but it's a lifestyle in regards of the people that are on the proverbial bench sometimes get overlooked. The janitor, when you talk on sports, the sixth man, the seventh man, the person that's on the practice squad, they get overlooked, but they actually have value. They actually have a story to tell. So the creation of it was like, all right, I want to do it with my bros. I want to do it with people that I know. Cool. We aren't on ESPN. We aren't First Take. We aren't on Fox. We aren't on those shows. But just because we're on the proverbial bench in that regard does not mean that we don't have value to add to the sports world, to add to these conversations. We didn't play at the NBA, the NFL level, but we study the game. We study the nuances of it. So we have something to add and a different perspective from a fan. We just like every other fan. We just do a little bit more studying into it.
Yeah.
To actually be a little bit more informed in what we're talking about. And in regards of it came later on, I realized I really enjoyed telling people stories. I really enjoyed interviewing people and hearing their journey and how they got to where they got. So, of course, love to have Bron on. Of course, I love to talk to MJ.
Of course.
But I will reach out to the D3 player at NJCU. I will reach out to a lacrosse player. I will reach out to the field hockey. Lacrosse and field hockey isn't really a sport that people talk about in college or people really care about on the mass level.
Yeah.
But you got a story to tell too.
Yep.
So that's the whole mindset and the whole thing of what we bring differently, and the thought process of even the title of it is like, just because you're on the bench, I want people to understand that a proverbial bench, for example, you're overlooked, undervalued. No, you have value. And
you have a story.
We see you.
Yeah. So love that. We see you, they have a story, and giving them a spotlight and a voice to speak to that experience is part of what makes what you guys do great and what you guys really represent too as well. All right, so right before we get you out of here, last thing I have is, do you guys have any projects, so either you personally, Antonio, or BME, any initiatives or things you guys have coming up, or want to shed light on, shout out?
Just stay locked in on our socials. We will have merch coming out again soon. We had merch out before, but trying to figure out the best way to actually sell the merch and create the merch. I have my own heat press now, so I'm going to be doing everything myself. So really trying to figure out how to really do that the best way possible with shipping and all those things like that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, check out, I started a new podcast with people from the thread. Shout out to David Russian. Shout out to Jared Spence. These are fellow basketball enthusiasts that I met on Threads. We started a podcast called the Corner 3 Podcast. It is strictly basketball. So anything from NBA, WNBA, college basketball, we talking 90s, 2000s, everything that you could think of basketball related. If you're a basketball junkie, that is the podcast that you want to tap into and check out. And check us out on Threads too. Threads, the NBA Threads community is really blowing up crazy on there. So if you like basketball, period, definitely go hop on Threads. Threads is actually blowing up right now. And for me, I feel it's a better platform than Twitter in regards of the discourse, in regards of the conversation. It's not a lot of course, you have that anywhere because of social media, but it's not a lot of the personal attacks. It's not a lot of the discourse that you get on X, which is more, it's a wild conversation.
Wild West.
It's wild west. So if you are interested in a different type of discourse, check out Threads, check out the Corner 3 Podcast. strictly basketball. Yeah, that's pretty much it on this end.
Smooth, smooth. Well, thank you so much for coming through, Antonio, being me, a year in the making. Finally got you on the couch, pause. And that's a wrap for us. I'm Yoru. That's Antonio of Benchmark Entertainment. And we will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.